All right, sweet. Welcome everyone to season 5, episode 6. This one is called Alpha. So, jumping straight into it. On the credit side, the alpha is deployed and the testing begins from this week. So, we're really excited because I think it's been almost a year or over a year of like developing everything from the contracts, the credit score, the back end, and the data capability. So, we've got a team competition that will mark the start of the testing phase officially and making sure that all the technical infrastructure we've built works and is upheld. Then off the back of that, once we've launched it, we're defining a framework for how we measure the success of risk, and then we want to share that publicly so we can actually demonstrate the methodology around how it is how we achieve the magic that we do from like a risk/actuarial perspective. And following off the back of that, we're working closely with the auditors to target a June date for those full audits, which will be really nice because it'll give us the confidence to like increase caps and go to a wider audience group. And on the back of that, we've got a lot of the front end work for the beta almost done as well. With the majority of the product engineering looking good or really coming together. So hopefully we'll have a lot of those front-end screens and contracts down to the point where we can release new risk products quite quickly without too much hardcore engineering on the product side. So that basically marks credit. On the platform side, we've got the developer experience API and docs are almost developed. And this is really big because it really empowers developers to use scores in their app. We've had a lot of inbound come in over the past few weeks, and being able to service that with that API is going to be crucial. The second bit is we're closing out a major infrastructure project that will increase the capacity on the data team. So we've been running this for a few months, and it got a bit bigger than we expected, but now that it's wrapping up, we're going to unlock a lot of throughput, which is going to be sweet, and a better capacity to push out scores quicker. And last but not least is basically we've got our first article coming out around the vision for platform, what ARCx is, and the problem that we're trying to solve. So really redefining that narrative, because we've been in market for like 1.5, almost 2 years now, and we've gone through a lot of series of twists and turns. So just redefining that narrative and being clear on it is something that will be important for new people as they visit. The key milestone on the platform side is getting that first dollar in revenue to validate that we have customers who would like to pay for the product/service we're providing. So that's it in terms of credit and platform. In terms of overview, so shout out to Diego for getting that infrastructure over the line. I think it's a very unnoticed or very kind of in the weeds project. So I really want to shout him out for that. And then on the challenges, it's building fast enough, I'd say, given all the things that we want to do. So that's it on my end. I will pass it to Kyle.
Cool, thanks a lot. So yeah, the Borrow Alpha contracts have been released. We're internally testing that this week. We were just having a meeting before this, all nerding out about it. So it's really, really cool. Everyone's getting really excited. We have the supply page that's in progress. We have the new public APIs. The APIs themselves are finished. We're still working on the public docs. We also deployed some new infrastructure to make our stuff more stable so we can free up some velocity. So this week, like I said, we want to finish the supply page. We want to finish and publish the docs so that we can then make an announcement and have anyone access our endpoints and access all these beautiful scores. We also want to launch the internal Borrow campaign. That's what Kerman was talking about, the internal competition that we're going to have. So we've got to wrap up a few things first, and then we'll get to that. So shout outs, welcome to the team, Yao. Glad to have you. And also to Diego and Stuart, because we had a little bug in prod a few days ago and they were really quick on acting on that. So good job, guys. A little bit of challenges. So shifting engineers down the stack. We're trying to get people to understand every stack and be able to move around without causing too much of a headache. So that's a little bit of a challenge, and also tying up loose ends. like Herman mentioned, we want to try to get faster. We want to try to, increase our efficiency. And so we want to tie up all the loose ends as much as possible so we can really push forward on what's important and what's in scope and in focus. So that's everything in engineering. I'll pass it over to the Titans.
GM to the community. What's happening in our world? So to echo some points made, so as Kerman said, one of the really, really big projects for us has been Casio. I've been talking about this week on week for many weeks now, but we're finally getting to the last kind of mile of that project, that everything is ported over. We're just doing stability. We're about to kick off a parallel run with our main infrastructure and just verify everything is working as expected. I'm expecting about a week away now to actually flip the switch and be in a good state. Other things that happened last week. So Stuart has been working on some risk articles, so he's closing some of that out. We will eventually want to start sharing some of these articles with the community, but for the moment, they're all internal until we figure out how do we make sure that we're, that everything looks right and we're not kind of not exposing us to undue risk by exposing some of that information. Other things that are happening, we're just planning out our next wave of development with platforms. So with Casio coming to an end, that's really the next big thing, is like what gets built next? How do we do it? How's it managed? And make sure we kind of deal with all that stuff. And lastly, last week, we had an unsuccessful round of hiring. We got to the final stages of an engineer and we weren't just able to kind of close that, which is a bit unfortunate. That's what we were working on. For this week, as I said, running Casio in parallel. We'll be building out some data monitoring pipelines. That's a big kind of hole in our stack at the moment, is understanding whether or not score distributions look right and ledger distributions look right. We need to build some pipelines to just verify that and give us more stability there. There'll be more research articles being written, and then we'll also be supporting some of the deals coming down the funnel with Sparta. Shout out the web guys. They've been pushing really hard for the last month with the Alpha Borrow. So huge shout out to them for getting that over the line and releasing that. That's on Polygon at the moment, so that's super exciting. And then shout out to Diego and Kirsten. They're the ones working on Casio. They've been doing awesome work. I know it's a bit of a shit job sometimes, and I know it's a bit stressful when, a project goes a little bit over and it becomes a little bit more complicated than we expected. So thank you for your work there. Challenges. I like that Kyle put a stack of pancakes for his bringing engineers down the stack. I thought it was more apt to put a pile of spaghetti. So we're bringing more engineers down the stack. So that's one of our challenges, making sure that everyone can use our tools, everyone can understand how everything plugs together. And that's kind of a big deal. And then the other challenge is going with fewer meetings, more engineering. So that's a big push that I know Kerman, Hugh, and Liam have been pushing really hard for, is going, how do we give engineers more focus time? And in particular, the engineers of like Gabe, Kyle, and myself. So that's one of the big challenges, going, how do we make sure that we get the same quality of communication while reducing the number of hours in calls? So that's really the update for me. It would typically go to Liam, but he's not here today, so it's going to go to Hugh.
Hey guys. So last week on my end, it was a bit more work on the growth side. So I drafted an article to explain platform, and in the process learned a lot about how we're thinking about the generalized version of like ARCx as a text like offer to the market. That's going to progress this week, and it may be split into two articles, one on sort of like the problem that we're trying to solve generally, and then the opportunity or like the solution. Also spent some time working with our graphic designer to produce a set of video templates and images that can be used in our tweets and our Substack posts to really make it look very professional. As we ramp up a lot of the product and integration announcements that we're going to have over the next couple of months, this is going to really sort of maximize the impact of those messages. So they're looking pretty sweet already. So yeah, excited there. And then also spent a bit of time working with the sales team to think of like, what does a co-marketing process look like for our integrations when we make these announcements with partners. We really want to make sure that we're galvanizing the communities on both sides. So like, how do we do that? Like, what is that? That is almost part of our offer to the to these platforms. So it's really exciting. And then also spend some time working with engineers to discuss some tactical stuff around I think as Kale just mentioned, like meeting cadence and how we get all of our product into this like funnel of excellence. That's basically it from last week. In terms of this week, as mentioned, we're starting our internal testing for the alpha credit product. That's going out, I think, in the next day or so. We've also got a lot of front end designs that need review for the next iteration, which we're calling closed beta. And the features there would be updated vault pages, a pool selector page, and then an updated page for the borrowing. Some pretty interesting stuff coming out there. And yeah, so in addition to that, we've got our audit with Trail of Bits scheduled for June. So that's looking, that's locked in now, and we're just now scheduling kind of the logistics around that. So that's pretty good. On the growth side this week, there's just a bit of work around, as I mentioned, publishing that article, reorganizing our Substack, so that we, could really simplify for new people coming in, what we're actually trying to do here. And yeah, I think that's the main thing there. And yeah, I didn't have any shout outs on my slide, but I just wanted to say shout out to Alex for joining the chaos. Really excited for you to be here, man. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you around the patch. Yeah, that's it from me.
Thank you.
Cool, thanks,
Likewise.
Yeah, no, Alex or Yao is going to be joining us. So yeah, welcome once again. On the Q&A side, Joel, do we have anything that's come up?
There was one just about alpha being internal only and why that was. Then maybe when will alpha be public?
Yeah, so the next stage after the alpha is the closed beta, where it's an invite only access to it. The reason why we made the alpha close is because this is a very new product with a lot of moving pieces. So we want to make sure it works, make sure it's stabilized before we get other people's money involved into this. So that's the main reasoning.
Cool, yeah, that was the only.
Sweet, I guess that marks it. Thank you for joining in, everyone, and see you all next week. Goodbye.